And tonight, it's the day King Charles has been waiting a lifetime for, his crowning moment.
I come not to be served, but to serve.
Celebrations across Ontario, from Queen's Park to the nation's capital, mark the historic moment, one that's also adding to a growing conversation.
It's a reminder of how the people in the islands were enslaved and brutalized by, the British ancestors.
Long before the coronation, a handful of Caribbean countries have been considering cutting ties with the British royal family. We check in with the Ontario Caribbean community.
I want to bring some dignity and honor to her. And that's really the point of all of this.
1 year later, and we still don't know her name or what happened to a little girl discovered in a Toronto dumpster. How the community where she was found vows to keep her memory alive.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Hello, we're so glad you're with us. We begin tonight with that crowning moment in the UK. Tens of thousands of people lining the streets hoping to catch a glimpse of history in the making. We'll take a look at the celebrations and the growing questions around the monarchy in a moment. But we begin with Chris Brown in London.
Britain looked its royal best for this rarest of regal occasions. 70 years after his mother took this journey, Charles and Camilla, still at this point Queen Consort, traveled in the Diamond State Jubilee coach along the red paving stones of the Mall to Westminster Abbey. Past British Prime Ministers, U.S. President Joe Biden's wife Jill, and a delegation from Canada, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Governor General Mary Simon, were among the invited guests. Prince Harry, who has a strained relationship with his father, was there too. The King appeared relaxed and enjoying the moment as he acknowledged familiar faces.
We are here to crown a king.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, led a service that combined ancient rituals with modern touches, such as gospel singers and multiple faiths.
Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, your other realms, according to their respective laws and customs?
I solemnly promise so to do.
Behind a privacy screen, Charles was blessed with holy oil, and then the culmination of the service, when St. Edward's crown was placed on Charles's head, the only time he will ever wear it.
God save the King!
God save the King! A short time later, Camilla was crowned as well.
I, William, Prince of Wales,
and his son and heir William knelt before him and pledged his allegiance.
So help me God.
Thousands witnessed it all on big TV screens throughout the city.
It's once in a lifetime, really. So we got up at 3 a.m. to get here for 7 to get the spot.
Then, with a team of Canadian Mounties as part of the procession, King Charles and now Queen Camilla rode in the 200-year-old Gold State coach back to Buckingham Palace as the rain poured down.
This was the best. This was the best, because it's the coronation. I'll never see this again in my lifetime.
Great to see we've got a new king. I mean, where does that happen in the world very often? And all these people that have turned out, they're here because they want it, and it's great. I just think it's a brilliant day, absolutely brilliant day.
This is the first time that people are getting to see the newly crowned King and Queen. Another highly anticipated moment of this momentous day is next. The barriers were removed and the giant crowd surged forward to see the royal balcony appearance. Wearing their precariously perched crowns, Charles and Camilla were joined by other so-called working royals, but not Harry, nor Prince Andrew, whose legal troubles are a family embarrassment. The rain forced the Red Arrow's flyby at the end to be scaled back, a tiny hiccup in what was largely a flawlessly executed event that delivered the pomp, ceremony, and fanfare expected of a royal coronation. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Okay, to the nation's capital next, which also saw a special ceremony. Janice McGregor takes us there.
Canada's capital, a different song for the new head of state.
King Charles III of the Commonwealth, hear our drum. Respect it as you would your song of life. We sing to honor the commitment you make for a better world for all.
Growth, a coronation of possibility. You reach up and you bring down my hand, hold it in yours, and begin to walk with me, beside me. You say, come on, together, let's leave this place better than we found it.
Canada's political leaders also sounding notes of change.
Millions of Canadians are witnessing the coronation of Canada's sovereign for the first time in a country that is radically different from the one that witnessed the last coronation. But as Canada evolves, so do its institutions, and so does the monarchy.
And so do the sovereign's symbols. A new flag for the King in Canada, a new crown to represent his reign in this realm, evocative of Canada's history, climate, and natural landscapes. Canada Post also unveiled the King's first stamp, a modern shot of a slightly younger Charles. And the Royal Canadian Mint's commemoration, gold and silver collector coins struck with the new royal cipher. The federal government also announced today Canadian artists will design images of the new monarch for the $20 bill, as well as our loonies and toonies.
We expect to be able to share the selected design in the fall, so I think that will be a big moment.
So it's very exciting, I think, for Canadians to see that we are modernizing those symbols and still keeping connection with an important tradition.
Ministers dropped hints today that the new King and Queen may soon visit Canada. In the meantime, people are marking this coronation weekend with special events at Rideau Hall. The Ottawa residence of the Governor-General, the King's representative, checking out the symbols of their new king until they have a chance to see him in person. Janice McGregor, CBC News, Ottawa.
And here's a look at these celebrations at Queen's Park in Toronto. Premier Doug Ford issuing a statement earlier wishing success to King Charles III and the Queen, and the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario was also joining Indigenous leaders. The flag-raising ceremony was followed by a 21-gun salute and drum circle. We spoke to some of the people who were there.
I heard that it happened once in a lifetime event, and it happened like in 70 years or something. So this is a good chance to attend this special event. Yeah,
it's history being made today, and it's very important. For me, and especially for my nieces and nephews. I mean, hopefully they'll see all this on TV and they'll learn this in school. And I think it's very important for us.
Celebrations included free family activities, rides, and musical performances. Also, a number of places, including the AGO, the ROM, and 39 provincial parks, offered free admission today. Well, as King Charles ushers in a new era for the monarchy, a handful of Caribbean countries have been considering cutting ties with the British royal family. Tyler Cheese spent the day connecting with the local Caribbean community to see how they're feeling.
Some in Toronto's Caribbean community are celebrating the coronation.
King Charles is actually, someone that I have always followed. Wonder when was he going to become king? Finally, his day has come.
But for others, a history of imperialism and slavery in the region is too much to forgive.
I am not interested in watching the coronation because I don't agree with their behavior in the way that they treated the colonies.
The government of Jamaica has said that it intends to leave the Commonwealth by 2025. That's why we came out here to Little Jamaica, but most of the people we talked to just don't seem to care about the coronation.
I don't really have no say, them is world, them run the world, man, them do them thing.
Still, experts say the royal affair isn't likely to be well received in many Caribbean countries.
The legacy of colonialism is still really felt in Jamaica and in these other countries. And so I don't think this is going to be viewed as a positive event down in that part of the world. I think they're going to see this as a celebration of imperialism.
It's a reminder of how the people in the islands were enslaved and brutalized by, the British ancestors.
He's urging people to read up on the history beyond all of the fanfare.
Take a deeper look. I mean, at where the monarchy is coming from, who they are, what they do, how they govern, what type of authority they have, who holds them accountable.
He's not alone in his critiques of the monarchy. A recent Angus Reid Institute poll revealed that 41% of Canadians said they don't care about the coronation. And 61% of those polled believe it's the right decision for Caribbean countries to sever ties with the monarchy.
This was really a day of passing curiosity, of ritual and rite and pomp and circumstance, but not really something they feel tremendously connected to.
Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Turning to some other news now, it's been 1 year since the body of a little girl was found in a Toronto dumpster. Her name and what happened to her remains a mystery, but the community where she was found hasn't forgotten. As Meg Roberts shows us, they're vowing to keep her memory alive.
Today, dozens gathered for a special ceremony to honor the life of a young child community members still don't know the name of.
Her death was awful circumstances, and so we want to bring some dignity and honor to her. And that's really the point of all of this.
The young girl was found in a dumpster in Rosedale a year ago. However, police say she may have died in the summer of 2021 or even earlier. Toronto police have said the girl was likely between the ages of 4 to 7 and of African descent. Investigators don't believe the girl was ever reported missing to police in Canada.
We would have hoped that the answers would have come soon after the discovery, and those answers didn't come. And we all know this is a very difficult case.
Toronto police invited to today's ceremony.
1 year ago, we promised that we would identify this young girl. We have made great strides in our investigation, and I stand by that promise to the community. We will find the answers.
Police did not provide an update on the case, but says it's investigated dozens of tips, hundreds of hours of surveillance video, and has searched through missing persons cases across the world, which is why for some, it's important to keep holding these events.
It's our hope that somebody knows something and will feel the support to come forward.
The young girl was found with black curly hair that was braided and tied with black and blue elastics and had been wrapped in colorful blankets. Those colors worn around the necks of community members today. More than 50 scarves were knit in honor of the girl community members simply call her.
For today, we just want to come together and make sure that this girl is not forgotten. That's what she deserves.
And it's important for us to let our children know, too, that every child deserves a name. Every child deserves to leave this earth with dignity.
Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
Meantime, the debate over the future of the Ontario Science Centre is once again in the spotlight as several unions gathered today saying moving the centre to Ontario Place would put hundreds of jobs at stake.
Did it with zero community consultation, zero consultation with the workers themselves, and with zero idea of what the impact will actually be on this community and on Toronto generally. This is not what Torontonians want.
Hornick says the Ontario Public Service Employees Union has 400 workers at the Science Centre. She's worried it will lower attendance, saying the new location is only half the size. Hornick also says the current location is easily accessible by transit and highways and a neighborhood anchor for Flemington and Thorncliffe Parks. The government plans to build housing in its place. Well, meantime, down at the proposed new Science Centre location, a debate among those vying for Toronto's top job at City Hall.
Ontario Place, I think, is an anchor for what we've seen happening with community spaces, amenities.
And if they don't think that this is a serious debate in terms of the future of our city, then I don't think they should be running to be mayor of Toronto.
I, as your mayor, will not be selling or trading the 16 acres that the City of Toronto owns.
Things were relatively informal, though many major candidates you just saw taking part. Ontario Place has been the source of controversy lately. The province plans to redevelop parts of the space for an indoor water park and spa. Many of the candidates have openly said the plan is inconsistent with the city's waterfront goals. We have a bunch of exclamation points because
Well,
Sophia.
folks, skies are clear and the sunshine and warmth is back in for those of you who are right across the province. Visible satellite shows a whole lot of nothing in the way of cloud cover, but how long will it last? We have an end to that dreary and cool pattern, that omega blocking pattern that brought us all the rain and cool down over the past 2 weeks has finally departed and allowed for the warmth to filter back in. It is a welcome sight for the first weekend of May to have hit some of the low 20s right across the province. We haven't been that warm since the second weekend of April. And for this first weekend of May, pleasant conditions, seasonal temperatures, and sunny skies. But Saturday is the better of both of the weekend days, so hopefully you're able to get out and enjoy. There's still a few hours left. You'll stay into the double digits for some of you, into the extreme southwest, into the overnight period. But the clouds and the rain move in for Sunday. I'll have all of those details in the long range, but for now I leave you with the forecast for the Toronto Marathon Sunday, May the 7th in the morning. Pleasant sunny skies and nearly double-digit conditions. Rain on the way, though, for Sunday afternoon. I'll have those details at the end of the show. Shannon.
Excellent running weather. Thanks, Sophia. We'll see you shortly, and we're heading into a quick commercial break. Thousands of people have been forced from their homes in Alberta as dozens of dangerous wildfires tear through the province.
There are 14 states of local emergency, and 2 band council resolutions have been declared by local governments and Indigenous leadership. And in total, we have seen 24,511 Albertans evacuated from their homes.
More than 100 fires are burning in northern and central Alberta, the result of extremely dry conditions and unusually hot temperatures for the season. Close to 122,000 hectares of land have burned so far. Premier Danielle Smith called it an unprecedented crisis and says the government will soon decide whether to declare a provincial state of emergency. Almost 80 firefighters from Ontario and Quebec are expected to arrive in Alberta to help battle the blaze. An additional 200 firefighters will join them in the coming days. Well, more than 3 years after we all first heard about COVID-19 and the world essentially shut down, the WHO says it no longer qualifies as a global emergency. Infectious diseases specialist Dr. Isaac Bogoch has been a familiar face through it all. He says the move is a significant step.
It's certainly a recognition that COVID is much, much better now versus 2 and 3 years ago. But it's also an acknowledgement that COVID is not gone. It's still here. It's going to be here for the foreseeable future. And sadly, it's going to continue to wax and wane with time, and it's going to continue to disproportionately impact some vulnerable individuals around the world, including people on the older end of the spectrum, people with underlying health conditions. We also know that there's more acute and chronic manifestations of the virus. So while we certainly are in a better place now, they also clearly acknowledge that we'll be contending with this for the years to come.
A new exhibition kicks off today at the AGO. It features 3 photography displays that celebrate Black identities and collaborative ethos. Here's more from the creative director, Joseph Ademu, about his exhibit, Feels Like Home.
The goal of our department is to, reframe and reclaim narratives around Africa and its diasporas.
Places like the AGO always felt very prominent and kind of like, out of this world, you know what I mean? So to be back, to be a part of a really big experience here is special. This is 10 Toes Down, a project photographed by Krishana Keene, and it focused on a Black ballerina. For a very long time, Black ballerinas didn't feel represented through ballet because the point shoes and stockings didn't match their skin tone until recently. Representation is strong. It's a big deal, and I noticed a bit of a void being filled with the work that we're doing. So it's so much more than just really good work. It's also fulfilling to see the community involved, And this story is basically about a South Sudanese family and their journey to the US from South Sudan and how basketball was a means of hope and optimism to overcome challenges. I think one of the things I wanted to take from this is you belong. Being in a space like the AGO where you don't see too much of us here on a frequent basis, I wanted to kind of bring that into the space, warm it up a bit, make it a bit more welcoming for those young kids that don't necessarily feel attached to these sorts of institutions.
What's exciting about this exhibition is that it will be on for a year. You know, that longevity also guarantees that we'll be able to bring folks in.
We use real people, tell real stories, and I think that's what's most authentic about it all, you know? Yeah.
Meantime, it was a full slate of horse racing over in Etobicoke as spectators took in the 149th version of the Woodbine Kentucky Derby.
You can make a small bet and cheer for your favorite horse. It's just a nice way to spend a day.
Woodbine, of course, we erupted this week when we found out that Kazushi Kimura was going to be riding in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's really every jockey's dream come true.
Kimura is the leading thoroughbred jockey of the last 2 seasons. He recently rode Mandarin Hero to a second-place finish in the Santa Anita Derby. At the racetrack today, there was also the 4th annual Derby Day Party, a Southern hospitality-themed event. People dressed to the nines, as you can see. The 164th running of the King's Plate will be on Sunday, August 20th.
Well, Shannon, not a coincidence that you and I have reunited on a day when the sunny skies are back in the picture. We talked a little bit earlier about that southerly flow, but did we mention how nice it's going to be for many of you at the Toronto Marathon? Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. Sunny skies, nearly double-digit temperatures for the big run tomorrow morning. But then afternoon is when that cloud cover really pushes in for many of you in the southern portion of the Great Lakes Basin, accompanied by this line of quick-moving showers, some heavier downpours possible as well. Yeah, we're using the downpours word again. Sunday afternoon, you're seeing that band come through part of the east end of the GTA, but this is mostly a GTA and South story and really scattered in nature. So for the most part, this little bit of rainy activity tomorrow won't put much of a damper on any of your outdoor plans. Sunday afternoon, you are seasonal for the most part with that rain possible, but it'll look a little cooler near any of the lake shores. The Great Lakes are a little bit on the cool side this time of year. You hold on to that warmth into the overnight period as those showers are clearing, and then look at Monday and Tuesday. You're finally pleasant, back up to seasonal, and then some for the start of the work week. In fact, the pleasantries continue really for much of this work week. Like, you haven't seen this kind of forecast in a couple weeks, and we will take it because the second half of May gets cool again, Shannon.
Ooh, okay, thanks, Sophia. We mentioned the marathon. Just a reminder, it starts early in the morning if you're in Toronto, so beware of some road closures around Yonge and Shepherd all the way to BMO Field. We'll see you again tomorrow.